Concert Crew Podcast, we back again.
Yeah.
Oh, today we got a real creative episode right here, man. Being creative, man. Who does that? We do it, man. The Concert Crew Podcast. Today we got What If?
What if?
What if scenarios, man. Some stuff that we asked ourselves a lot. If things if certain life scenarios would have played out different, like what would have happened? What do we think would have happened? Questions that you talk about in the barbershop, you talk about amongst ourselves that we talked about over the years, but we want to like go in a little more detail about it, man. So this is What If today. What if?
What's your first what if? Your first biggest what if?
Well,
what is a what if for those who don't know?
Yeah.
a what if is if obviously in real life something happened. If that scenario didn't happen, how do you think what would have happened after that? What would have resulted? How would it have played out?
Yeah.
How would it have played out? Like, and we're going to go take it from hip hop. We're going to even talk about some sports and even some life stuff, man. And just take it there. I know this is going to create a lot of conversation, but that's the whole point of it. Yeah. The whole point is, what do you think? Everybody got different thoughts. Yeah. What do you think would have happened? But since we always talking hip hop, let's go with some ones that everybody probably talked about for years, man. Two of the biggest losses in hip hop that we had in our generation, in our lifetime, has been the losses Tupac and Biggie. So let's start with Pac, man, because Pac passed away first. If Pac was still here, if Pac didn't get murdered in Las Vegas, he got shot in Las Vegas. He ended up dying in the hospital. But if that event didn't happen in Las Vegas, what if, man? What would have happened in Tupac's life? How do you think it would have played out if Tupac was alive today?
I think he wouldn't have been on death row no more. I think that would have been number one. I think that the Outlaws would have been so much more bigger. You know what I'm saying? A bigger group. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I think Pop would have just been on a monster at the time, man. Especially right now in this day and age. Can you imagine him on Instagram doing the clips and shit that that you see these guys doing, like the Dr. Umars and things of that nature, man? Can you imagine
that would have been dope.
Tupac going live.
Can you imagine Pac going in, man, like really dropping some jewels on you and like bringing you into his studio sessions and all that? Like, cause that's what a lot of people doing with these phones is a hell of a motherfucking thing, boy. But I think that it would have been real crazy, man.
I think Tupac would have. I agree with you, man. I think he would have left Death Row, but I think he already had the music pretty much lined up. I think he would have tweaked some things and added some more to make it, to polish it and make it right. But pretty much the foundation of the rest of his albums on Death Row was done, and we got a chance to hear a lot of that over the years. A lot of it trickled out. I think he would have just put his little polish on it, but for the most part, he fulfilled his obligation to Death Row. Sure. And I don't think it was going to be on no bad type time, because they would have got a lot of, they did and would have still got a lot of money off of him. And Suge couldn't have been mad about it, because he did what he was supposed to do. He took over, he dominated. Yep. But I think he would have moved on.
And he gave you the albums.
Yeah, I think he would have moved on to his own labels. And I agree with you. I think the Outlaws would have been bigger. And I also think Fatal Hussein as a solo artist would have been bigger. Because Fatal was dope, man.
And Fatal passed away as well.
Yeah, he passed. Rest in peace to Fatal. Yeah,
and Gaddafi.
Yeah.
And Gaddafi was really one of the hardest spitters out of the Outlaws to me. It's just that Fatal Hussein had that Pac look. He was like Pac young boy, so it gave him that little extra push.
He was like,
but Gaddafi was wrong.
Yeah, I think they would have all had more success, hit records with Pac being around and really able to guide them. And I also think with his own label, I think other rappers would have gravitated to be under, or artists period would have gravitated to be under Tupac, like under a label from, because he was a creative guy, man.
And whether we know it or not, and it's just a strong feeling with me, I think that him and Big would have squashed it.
Absolutely.
I think him and Big would have squashed it.
That was coming sooner than I think we thought. Like, I'm talking about like within a year after all that happened.
I think they would have squashed it.
I do agree they would squash it.
So y'all think Pac would have just left Death Row? No more Death Row East? It wasn't that lined up? You think he wouldn't have did that?
I don't think.
I think he would have did his own thing.
I think he could have had business with Suge, but I think he knew because honestly, most of that stuff he was getting at Death Row wasn't in his name. So I think Pac was getting woke to the business part and like, okay. But he was also thankful though because Suge got him out of jail.
Yeah. I think that's what made him humble to a point where he didn't really care about that. His whole point was, yo, I'm gonna do what I need to do and I'm out. He played his role. He knew what had to happen.
He played it to the fullest.
He played it to the fullest.
Too much.
I'm gonna play my role and I'm going. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm out.
But I also think on the acting tip, I think he would have went on.
Oh yeah.
I think he would have went on to be a
director?
definitely a director.
Definitely director.
But a great actor with several more classic movies under his belt.
Yeah.
Like really. I mean, Baby Boy was written for him.
Yeah.
That was his movie. That movie was written for Tupac to play in. That Tyrese played BET Classic. But
the BET
I don't know.
Classic.
Tyrese was a bitch ass nigga in there. He was, man. He was a bitch ass nigga. I don't think it probably was written for Pac, but I think Pac would have been a little bit more stronger than Tyrese.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
See, I think Pac would have made the movie more darker. And I don't think John Singleton would have.
But yo, not to take nothing away from Tyrese, that was a hell of an acting job he did, man. I'm be real with him. Yeah. That was a good acting job from him. But they just made him too soft at one point. Yeah. He really was a mama's boy.
I think Pac would have made classic movies. I think he would have been well respected, not just as a rapper that turned actor, but just the actors would have respected him for his craft. Like he was really that really.
All right, great.
And we go ahead.
So all right, so Pac was just dissing everybody. You think he'd have like finally matured and say, you know what, my bad. I
think it was a cleanup.
Sorry, Mobb Deep. Sorry, Chief.
I don't think he would have did all that, but I think that shit would have just eventually mended itself. And you gotta realize this, like the shit with him and Biggie was bigger than anything.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? The Mobb Deep thing.
He was dissing everybody.
But due to what we learning now from Nas and everybody else, things have almost got serious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we learned a lot about that as far as like, because it really was to that point. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that everything else would have mended itself after they seen him and Big doing what they're going to do. Because
go ahead.
Because, them two created a Coast War. Yeah. So you get them two to come together, it's like everything else was cool.
And I also think him falling back from the Death Row energy, just that whole Death Row energy, him going and moving on, doing his own thing would have also kind of killed all that beef. Because Pac was hyped. He was also angry because he felt like not just rappers, but he felt like the world was doing them dirty.
Right.
So everybody was catching his rap. So anybody that was kind of associated with somebody he was pissed off with, you was going to hear it. But I think I think this, because he was doing the One Nation project with Boot Camp Click. So that was coming. So I think that would have been the beginning of him mending fences with the East Coast. And really the East Coast had love for Tupac. Like, it wasn't like they had, Biggie had love for Tupac. Yeah. That's why I think this wouldn't have been like 5 years later. I think this within like a year to two, that whole Biggie East Coast thing would have been squashed, man. It would have been on some love and some unity. And I think everybody would have realized, like, yo, we getting played with this. They using us as pawns, man.
Let's just get this money.
We black men, let's come together. Him and Nas already squashed they beef. Yeah. And then I honestly think Tupac, I think he might have still recorded music, but I think by this time, he would have been on some other stuff. Because Tupac is a leader, man. Yeah. He's a leader of men. And I think he'd have been doing something in the form of using his powerful voice to lead people in the right direction.
Especially with all the police brutality, police killers and stuff that's going on right now. I think that he would have probably been in the forefront of some certain situations and like, probably like another level my son.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Another level my son.
And Tupac for the people, man. Tupac is one of them guys that was for the people. So I think it would have been less about the music at this point and more about using his voice and his platform.
The right way.
Yeah, the right way. And he's a guy that really cared about
Quick, strong question. Do you think Obama would have called for Tupac if Tupac was still living? Because, Obama started calling for certain people to, to come speak for the campaign.
Absolutely.
You think he would have called for Pac?
Tupac. If you trying to win something like that, it would be great to have Tupac. But Tupac's the kind of guy that you better be careful because if he don't rock with you, he'll mess around and play you and let you know. So like if you calling on Pac, make sure y'all on one accord because Pac, you'll give Pac the mic and he'll
say something.
Imagine how the old Kanye when he said George Bush don't like black people. Tupac could say something way more stronger than that.
He probably would, but more in I think he would do it in more of a classy way to let you know like. But think about Tupac, man. He come with examples, man.
He was also very well spoken too.
He come with history examples, so he's bringing stuff from our history and bringing it to you as an example on what he's actually preaching about and what he's actually talking about, and that's was one of the main factors of his art when he was making his songs and all that. Like it wasn't that he knew so much about it. About Huey and all them. It's just that the examples and the things that he knew for a fact, it tuned in your ear. It caught you ASAP because you was learning. Yeah. You was learning on top of listening to good music, and that's what made him so deadly, man.
All right, well, we talked about Pac. What about Biggie? Biggie was still alive.
Man, it would be on a different level. It would be on a different level, man, all the way around the board. Lil C's would be way much bigger than what he is.
I agree.
LOX would be bigger. Not saying, they not where they at right now is not a huge step or whatever, but I just think that the Junior Mafia would have been on a different level, the same way the Outlaws and all that.
Right.
I just think that it would have been so much crazy. I think that Biggie would have started his own thing as well. I think he'd have been on it.
He already did.
Yeah, he did. But, I think that he would have been totally off Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? But still love Puff, for Puff and everything he done for him. But Biggie was he became a businessman.
Yeah.
And he started doing all the things that everybody else picked up on and took. Because Brooklyn Mint was coming, which was his clothing line.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So all them things that these guys picked up, that's these rappers after him, Biggie was already doing that. So they took pages out of his book.
Then on top of that, Biggie was definitely writing a lot of other people's rhymes.
Absolutely.
Banking on
that.
So.
I personally and truly believe that I think Biggie would have been a billionaire for sure. Biggie was about his money early. Like Biggie was thinking about outside of music early, before Jay, before all them people. Biggie was really about money. And he like you said, he had the Big Beat Undias situation. He had Junior Mafia bubbling. I think Little Kim would have been even bigger. Little C's would have been definitely been bigger. I think he would have signed. I think Biggie would have been the kind of label head that would have signed, because he was thinking bigger than rap. So he would have signed somebody like a Kanye West. Man, we know when Jay didn't believe in him, Biggie would have seen that in him. Biggie would have signed somebody like a Rihanna, a pop star. Like Biggie would have did that. Biggie had that foresight. Biggie just seen like, who's talented and who can sell, who can we put out there,
vision.
Like he did with Little Kim. Like you need to do this. This is how you gonna sell, and it worked.
And his personality was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And from what we hear and from what we learned, is like his stories and like the people that been around him, like he was such a upbeat guy. He was cool as a mug. You know what I'm saying? He might smoke your whole pack up. You know what I'm saying? From what the Bones said, Bones Thugs and Harmony, but like he was definitely a general, man, and he would have been probably one of the biggest things right now. And like you say, he probably have been on CEO status right now. And
absolutely.
And when his album dropped, he might have been doing it like Jay.
Well, I think he would have had at least 3 more classic albums. I think he was that nice. After Life After Death. And I do think he would have left Bad Boy eventually, but I don't think it would have been on no bad terms like some people think.
Yeah.
I think it would have been just he did his thing, and Puff is appreciative because Puff would have made a lot of money. They'd have made a lot of money together. And him and Big had a different kind of pull with Puff. I think if Big was there, the whole Bad Boy run goes longer. The Locks don't leave, Mace don't leave. Yeah. Then they had Black Rob. Their whole run as a crew would have lasted well into the maybe the mid 2000s. They'd have been right there because the Locks, when Biggie left, that's when the Locks was like, if Biggie was there at the top spot, the Locks would have been straight. Mace would have been straight. I don't think Mace would have retired if Biggie was around. Like, all of that would have been one. So Bad Boy rapping division would have been strong. Like they'd have been strong, man.
I think Big would have, like you said, I think Big would have saved a lot of people's career on Bad Boy because he was that voice that Puff probably would listen to. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we can't do them like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fix that contract.
Like 112, them type dudes. They, you know what I'm saying? Total.
Yeah.
I think that he was the breakthrough to Puff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think Big would have managed some people.
Absolutely.
I didn't think he'd have managed some artists. You know what I'm saying? Send Biggie in there.
Well, Biggie was supposed to manage Puff. He was supposed to be Puff's manager.
Yeah.
So he'd have got Bunny off of Puff.
Yeah.
And then Biggie also, almost forgot. Biggie also was about to sign Cameron. Cameron was supposed to sign to Biggie.
Yeah.
Like, so Cameron would have been his artist. So that'd have been a whole nother lane, the Dipset lane that Biggie would have been behind that. So I think Biggie, I truly believe Biggie, like you said, the Brooklyn Mint clothing line. Biggie was already on that, man. Biggie was on the fashion. He had his Big Beat had nothing to do with the paperwork on Big Beat was totally separate from Bad Boy. A lot of people always think Little Kim was on Bad Boy. Little Kim was on Big Beat Undies. Yeah. That was totally separate from Bad Boy. So Biggie already knew I gotta have a separate thing on here. Biggie had relationships with. I'd have been dope to hear Biggie kill Neptune's beats and all these new producers' beats. Biggie was a different kind of rapper, and I think the conversation about him being the GOAT would be even stronger because he would have such great bodies.
I think Biggie and Dr. Dre would have had something.
Oh, that would have been
I think they would have definitely had something because Dr. Dre was already done with Death Row.
That would have been mean.
You know what I'm saying? So him and Dre linking up would have probably been dope. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so we got some bigger names, but let's go on to some people a lesser name. What if Big L never got killed and was still
you got bars galore. Big L would have been out here biting Joker's head. Big L would have been a superstar as well.
Wasn't he supposed to sign to The Rock?
He was supposed to sign to Rockefeller Records. Yes,
that would have
Big L
been
was
messy.
supposed to sign to Rockefeller Records.
That would have been messy. I don't know about him and Jay relationship or if that was a Dame Dash recruit, but that would have been big, man. That would have had them. It would have been Hov then Big L on that label.
That would have been big. I think that would have actually. I think the stuff that Big L was right on the verge. To me, he was respected amongst his peers, but he was right on the verge from being like a hip hop superstar, and then he got killed right before. I think his next album on Rockefeller, he would have had commercial success, but the rap still would have been there, almost along the lines of like a Biggie. And Big L was really, really nice.
He was really nice.
And that the Rockefeller situation to me would have been a win-win for him.
Absolutely.
It would have put him out there more because he dropped the album already, and it was cool, but it was like an underground kind of album.
Yeah.
But this would have been put him right. And I think Big L would have had hit songs and classic bodies of work.
I agree 100%. Like Big L would have definitely had some bars. It would have been the street classics, like over the right production, like
absolutely
Just Blaze. Like,
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like all them dope producers at the time. Like that'd have been crazy.
I agree.
Crazy.
It'd have been like, yo, man, can you imagine Big L rapping over Hit Boy joints? Like for real, like because his bars is so crazy, and you know, like that bounce and everything that he had in his flow, man, and his what they call it, double entendres or whatever. Them joints were so vicious, dog. I just think that
for days.
Punchlines for days, man. I think he would have also went on the battle rap joint and 8 Jokers on the Smack DVD joint. I think he would have went on there for the sport of him being that type dude because he already had that in him. I think he'd have been one of the major rappers, the first major rappers to actually go on there and give workout.
And he would have also helped the DITC movement.
Absolutely.
Get out there more.
Yeah.
It kind of faded away with Big L, man. When it hit the 2000s, it kind of faded away. I think he would have helped carry that flag because Fat Joe kind of went on his own way, did his Terror Squad thing. I think that would have helped to carry that flag too, man, because they was dope.
Digging in the crates.
They was dope. Yeah. Big L was a problem,
Yes,
man.
he was, man. He was a monster.
Big L was a super
He
problem.
was a monster.
For sure. And even that with Big L, even that that album he dropped that dropped in 1999, some of them songs was new.
What's it called?
The Big Picture.
The Big Picture, yeah.
And some of them songs was new, and that's just a preview of like
what it could have been.
What it could have been, because I thought that was dope.
Yeah.
And like that was like, damn, man, like
Yeah, Big L was that dude, man.
Big L was really. I think Big L was right on the cusp of like being a star. That's the unfortunate part about it, man.
He was just right there.
Because his family, because even like your family couldn't even really get the money because it was right there about to come. And then Rockefeller Records, that would have, and he would have actually been part of the come up because it was Rockefeller was still. It wasn't Rocker. Yeah, that was like a big transaction. Cameron wasn't there. Like that was a big deal. That would have been a big deal, man, right there. Woo! Rest in peace to Big L, man.
Yes.
What about the West Coast, yo? What if NWA never broke up and Eazy-E never died?
Well, if they never broke up, I think that might be going a little too far because I think Ice Cube. Because I think Ice Cube was
the reason
already
they broke up was the contracts.
Yeah. I think that might be a little too far. But
that's kind of hard to.
I would rather say, what if they would have all reunited? You know what I'm saying? What if that?
Well, that was in the works. From what I hear.
Yeah. I think that it would have been like crazy because now you got Ice Cube that went out on his own, learned what he learned. You had Dre that went out on his own. And everybody come back and bring all that flavor back because Ice Cube left and made good projects.
Oh yeah,
classic.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Classic.
And then on top of that, Ice Cube started making movies.
Yeah.
And Eazy-E was in the movies. Eazy-E would have did some acting, I think. You know what I'm saying? With Cube, probably been on a Friday or two, or maybe 3.
Dr. Dre could have did the soundtrack.
Yep, Dr. Dre probably would have been doing the soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? I think that's
matter of fact,
the better
Dr. Dre
what if.
was on the Friday soundtrack.
He was.
Yeah, he was. But I think that's the better what if than what if they ever never broke up because I think when they kind of was in that stage, I think it was already done due to Cube. Cube was on shit early. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking after what's the Niggas for Life, them coming back, I think it would have been crazy.
Well, I think total picture. I think if just hypothetically, if the contracts, if Eazy-E wasn't dealing with Jerry Heller and he had the business right with all of them and NWA stayed together, they would have had one of the, in my opinion, I actually said this before, they would have had one of the biggest dynasties in music, like the West Coast rap scene. Because if Eazy-E could have kept that in house under the Ruthless umbrella, like he would have had Dre, he would have had Snoop, he'd have had the Dog Pound, he'd have had Ice Cube, he'd have had Mac 10. All of that could have been in the same house. If
DOC.
He could have kept the whole relationship together. That would have, the West Coast reign would have lasted well into the 90s. Like if Eazy could, he would have had Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like the Ruthless would have been tough if all of that was
whole
together.
umbrella would be
crazy.
So all them projects would have came out under Ruthless. That's and then Eazy-E, you can say whatever you want about Eazy-E. Eazy-E was a boss. He knew how to get. He knew how to get money. He knew how to get money. He may not have been like a rapper, but he knew how to find talent.
Absolutely.
He knew how to find talent.
He was a hustler.
Sure. Yeah, he definitely was a hustler.
He was a hustler, man. He was a top tier hustler, man. And he just was that dude, man. And man, that's a heavy lineup over there and heavy catalog with everything that they both brought together. You know what I'm saying?
But I think Dr. Dre needed to leave to make, to become Death Row. You know what I mean? To make that sound.
I think him going to Death Row was actually him leaving his comfort zone. He was at Ruthless. All he had to do was just make beats. Like at Death Row, it was like he had to be more of a leader. Like Eazy-E was just like, yo, you make beats. And I think Dre was comfortable. Yeah, I ain't saying that was the best thing for him, but I think he was comfortable with that. Right. All I gotta do is just make beats. You know what I'm saying? I could just sit in the studio all day.
That's all I want to do is just make beats.
Yeah, not worry about other stuff. Eazy-E, you can handle all that stuff. So I think that was his comfort zone. Now, him coming out of his comfort zone was probably a great thing for him, long run, like big picture. But man, if they could have kept that Ruthless thing together,
That'd have been
crazy.
Because Eazy-E know how to get money. Eazy-E know how to get. I could definitely see him investing in all this other separate stuff outside of music, and definitely getting money, man. He definitely had an eye for talent. Even the pull Bone from Ohio, like you got to have some insight because their sound was different.
Yeah, I agree.
NWA, man, they could have been dope. What you got, Sean? You got something?
I got a big what if.
What's that?
What if RZA's basement never flooded?
Well, I tell you one thing: if RZA's basement never flooded, Inspector Deck would have dropped the debut album in that first wave of the Wu solo albums, and it would have been a classic. And,
I agree.
And we would be mentioning Inspector Deck's name with the great. Inspector Deck would have been in the Concert Crew Hall of Fame as a solo artist.
I could see that.
And I think his solo album would have been so dope. It would have led to he would have been looked at as one of them them top guys, because he already had the bars, he had the verses, he had the great guest verses,
and also
just needed that body of work.
Album would have dropped in the height of all the Biggie and all the Tupacs and all that. So you got to inspect the deck up there with them guys with that album. That would have been crazy.
They said it was like a Spider-Man theme.
Yeah.
I just know it was fire. RZA said he couldn't even recreate the beats again. Like, it was just a moment. Man, I really feel like Inspector Deck album would have been a classic.
That album should have came out right after Liquid Swords.
I agree. It actually made
right after Liquid Swords, but before Iron Man. That would have been a nice pocket for Deck, because he's like not like super popular, but like he would have been in that window right there.
I think he probably have been the first to drop, but they was just so much on the vibe that it led into Ray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think that if that basement never flooded, I think Deck was next up.
I think Inspector Deck might have could have fit in a little bit before that. The ended. So? I think he might have got in the middle a little bit more of that. Like,
he got Meth, then Deck, then Ray.
No, Meth maybe, Meth, ODB. Then maybe Deck, because remember Deck was killing the Wu album, the group album. Like, man, like the Neighborhood Spider-Man, like that. Everybody remember that verse. So that would have been crazy, man. I think Deck would have had a classic, but also if the RZA's basement wouldn't have flooded, I think Method Man's first album to Cal would have been way better. Yeah. It should be classic because he had the ability. So they hurry up and threw something together because Def Jam wanted him out that quick, but that wasn't his original album that was made into the flood. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I think Meth would have had a classic. I think the Cow would have been a classic because what they remade. I'm sorry, Wu fans, that wasn't the look. It was
handle Meth like that.
It was just okay. He had some hits, but
mediocre.
It was mediocre at best. We was hyping that a little bit. That wasn't that good. But that'd have been dope, man.
That'd have been crazy, yo, if that came out with a solo album, like in that first wave.
I would have liked to hear a Capadonna album in that first wave where he could have got RZA's best beats.
Yeah, that'd be
like because when Cap first came out, he was hot.
Yeah,
he was hot. Any other Wu what ifs?
The
Pillage wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
But I feel like if he'd have got that RZA in his prime, by the time that came out, RZA was already kind of starting to veer off a little bit.
I mean, with Wu-Tang, it's so many different like scenarios. It's like,
I seen you guys say that all of the, and I agree with them. They said that all the original members, it shouldn't have been no affiliates that had albums before the original member. And I agree with them on that. I agree with them.
Of course.
I think they all should have at least had their first album shot together, kind of. Now, of course, they got to come out.
So who was the only affiliate? Capadonna?
Not
Killer Army.
Killer Army came out before them. Gold Diggers came. They all came out before. Imagine you got in them Master Killer.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. But
they came out before Inspector Deck.
Them Joneses came out and went though. Ain't nobody.
But he's saying they shouldn't even came out. We should have been. Their original members should have been the priority.
How about this? Meth had 2 albums before some people even had 1 album out.
Deck definitely should have.
Work ethic shows it all. So Killer Army probably was working.
Yeah, but I don't
Motivated.
I don't think Deck.
God probably
I don't
was
think,
chilling.
I don't think Deck was work ethic for sure. He should have had an album.
I just think once he knew that he poured a lot into that stuff that RZA lost, probably took something out of him. For real.
Yo, honestly, you're right, man. Yo, it's like, can you imagine typing up a paper?
How can I do that?
You got 12 pages in and then it just deletes. You like, damn, I wrote this fly ass paper. And it's like now I got to start all over.
And
like,
then you feel like you're getting lost in the mix a little bit. Like I feel but Deck was super talented, man.
That's a big hip hop what if.
Deck was super talented. What about something a little fresher, man? We just it's the 4-year anniversary of Nipsey Hussle's passing. Next year will be 5. Man, what would Nipsey do, man? What would Nipsey be doing if he was
Nipsey
still
be
here?
up. Nipsey be up, all the way up. I think he would have been on a whole different level as far as outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Because he was versioning to that buying my community shit back, along with the Tupac shit that he had in him. Nipsey was scary, man.
He was right there.
Yo, we learned a lot about Nipsey after he passed. A lot of people learned a lot about Nipsey and got more hurt about Nipsey passing and brought him to a really higher light off of what they didn't know about him and the things that they learned about him after he passed.
And they felt bad, like, damn, he was here the whole time. I ain't even pay attention to him. Like,
man, Nipsey, I think if Nipsey wanted to, because he was so in tune with the hood, but if Nipsey wanted to, Nipsey could be a billionaire too, if he wanted to. Because Nipsey,
he'd have been easily over 100 million.
Nipsey, the way Nipsey was on the technology stuff, even like the scanning of your
NFTs,
scanning all that stuff in his store that he was doing, that was way ahead of the game, and he was smart enough to realize that. Yo, what are you doing over there? I need to learn. I need you to come be with me, and I need to learn how to do that and incorporate that with me. He was one of them guys. He wasn't like, oh, I'm only smart guy. No, I need to learn more. And at the same time, I think he would have been. I think Nipsey would have had classic albums, and I also think he would have been such a major figure in like educating a lot of older artists. Would have been wanting to sit down with Nipsey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nipsey would have been giving game to older artists, teaching them stuff. He was on the cryptocurrency. He was on all that so early, man. Like a lot of the new technology, the NFTs, the way to market. Nipsey was already on that, man. So I think older dudes would have been requesting to sit down with him and talk.
Oh, yeah.
That's how much game Nipsey had with him, man.
But the thing with Nipsey is I feel like he would want to be like,
Absolutely.
yo, I want to sit down with you.
Absolutely.
Like, yo, like your music is dope. Always been a fan. Let me help you get more money. Like, and this is free game. I mean,
He
was
definitely about education for sure, man. I got one, man. You know,
I got one too.
Man. Hold on, man.
got
Look at this shirt, man. The DOC.
DOC.
No one could do it better, man. And one of my big what ifs is if DOC didn't get in that car crash, DOC would be considered one of the best rappers to ever do it. He would have multiple, because I think no one can do it better. It's a classic album. If you ain't heard that, go check that out. But DOC would have been considered one of the best rappers. He would have went over to Death Row with Dre. He would have had either one classic or two classics, depending on how much long the run went. But he would have continued to work with Dr. Dre. They would have had classic albums.
I think Nelly said something about DOC.
Nelly, the one who kind of sparked that. Nelly said that DOC is one of the great hip hop. He's the greatest hip hop what ifs. And I wasn't mad at Nipsey for saying that. Like, I don't think people really understand how nice the DOC was, man. DOC would have he'd have been one of the nicest MCs, and he also would have been one of the best ghostwriters ever.
Yeah,
I agree.
DOC was special.
I
man.
agree.
he put
man.
Snoop on the game.
He definitely
How to write a song.
Yup,
and
he
put the bars.
He pretty
together.
much coached Snoop. DOC, he ain't even cuss. He was like Rakim for the. People say from the West Coast. He really was from Dallas though.
Yeah.
But he was like a West Coast version of Rakim. Like that's how nice he was.
Yeah.
Like DOC was.
He would have had a Grammy written song. Easy. 2, 3 of them.
I can see that.
Yeah, it would have been hits. He would have had hits. And he when he dropped this album, he was recording that on the road with NWA. That was like some side project kind of stuff. And you see how dope No One Can Do It Better is, man.
Yeah.
Like shout out to DOC, man.
Absolutely. Legend in the game.
Legend
man.
in the game. I think he would have been. I think
he might be one of the greatest.
that's what I said. I said like I really think DOC. You know how we like look at Snoop in such a weird. I think. Even though I don't think he has Snoop personality, but as far as a rapper, I think we'd have been looking at DOC like DOC's one of the best rappers to ever do it.
Complete
like
package.
That's how nice he was as a rapper, man. But what up? But shout out to DOC. What else you got, Sean?
I got one. Let me
got?
slide in
What
real
you
quick
got?
with Sean. And I'm gonna speed it up to the new era. What if Pop Smoke didn't pass? I think Pop Smoke is the reason for this new wave that's going on. I think he was on his way to be one of the biggest artists in the game, man. I'm telling you, man, because when I sat down, I told y'all about this a while ago. I went to the what was that, St. E's game? What's the school that's over there by Banner Park that the boy used to play for? DiVincenzo.
That's a Salesiano?
Salesiano game, and I was sitting next to Nataki son and them, Nino, Kivas and Nataki share something. I was sitting next to them. I was over there with them or whatever, and I just was, asking them, about hip hop, and I was like, yo, man, boom, boom, and they was like, man, Pop Smoke, but this is when Pop Smoke was living, so I dabbled in, and I seen, like me, I'm always turning on different ears when it comes to music. And when I went to visit Pop Smoke music, boom, boom, or whatever, and see what he was doing, and then the way he started moving at one point, he was the drill rap thing and all that. I think, what's his name? Fivio Foreign stole his whole style or whatever. I think that they would have been his young boys, because I think Pop Smoke was so much. Man, he would have been a superstar, man. I think he would have been bigger than the Baby, because the Baby came right around that time too and became big around like Pop Smoke passing. I think that he would have been on that level of that nature, because the Baby is big right now, whether we know it or not. He doing his thing, but they trying to slide him out the back door. But he is big. I think Pop Smoke would have been really, really big, man. That's just me, man. I think he would have been an automatic superstar right now.
Well, he got that like 50 Cent vibe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I was about to add. I think 50 Cent. I think 50 Cent was going to put his arm around Pop Smoke when he was here, and I think he was going to coach him and I think he would have been successful, because I think 50 seen the talent in him, and I think 50 was going to not even sign him. 50 was just going to like coach him.
And then all them dances that they doing with the legs and all that, that's Pop Smoke.
Yeah, he
Pop Smoke, that was all Pop Smoke, man.
He definitely started that New York.
He started
wave.
that New York wave with the bouncing, the leg movements and all that.
And how many albums did we review after that? And we was like, man, that sounds like one of them Pop Smoke songs. Like,
I'm telling you, man, I think Pop Smoke, man, I think he was a superstar, man. He was on the way to be one of the biggest superstars in rap.
A lot of good hooks.
I'm not even going to over exaggerate.
He can make a good song.
I think he was going to be a hell of a seller, because he got that sound, and then he sounded like he from London.
Yeah,
and when that's an easy market. And then he was over there. He was doing sold out crowds up there, and he was up Philly before he passed.
He was acting too.
And he was acting a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then the fashion game, he was on top of his fashion joint, and then kind of sort of reason why he got hit with the Amiri. He had the Mike Amiris come to the crib. He showed it. Him and Mike Amiri had a good relationship, and that's how they got the address.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he would have been big. I think he'd have been big. He'd have been successful. I think 50 would have. I think he would have been commercially successful, and he definitely started a wave. A lot of people followed after him. He kicked the door down for that whole sound in New York, that young sound. So I agree with you on that one, man.
That's crazy. All right, so what if Snoop was found guilty?
Jeez.
Damn. We would be robbed of so much good material.
Wow. Well, if Snoop was found guilty,
Doggy Style would have never came out.
nah, that was after
Yeah,
Doggy
yeah,
Style.
yeah.
So he may be one of them artists where, well, he would be one of them artists where we was like, damn, he had one classic, and that was
He
it.
would be on this super high pedestal of the greatest ever.
He would be one of them guys that they would go interview at the jail and it'd be like, man, this dude has so. He would be a what if. He'd
definitely been a what if.
We'd have been like, damn, he has so much talent.
I think-
He was a global superstar.
But due to so many holes in the case, I think he would have came home on a pill at a certain time. I think probably after he probably did like a nickel, he'd have came home.
yeah, but it would have took his prime of his rap career.
I agree.
though, so
But you also remember, a lot of people get bigger once they go do that jail time and come home.
if he did get convicted somehow or had to go to jail and he was able to come back with maybe like 10 years, it would be like,
That's a long time.
hold on. It was a long time, but it would be like Shinish. The hip hop with the community would still love him.
Yeah, but Shine ain't putting out no music.
That Shine music wasn't good. I'm glad he didn't put out that.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother what if you just
Yeah.
made me think of right there. But you made me think of another one. If I don't know people that I don't know if everybody knows Slick Rick's story, but
yeah.
Slick Rick dropped the classic and the Great Adventures of Slick Rick. Then
He got locked up.
Then he got attempted
locked
murder
up.
charge
Yeah.
on his cousin that was trying to extort him, and he went to jail. Now he did drop albums in between, but they was kind of like thrown together. They wasn't really. So what if Slick Rick never went to jail, and was able to do the proper follow ups after a classic in the Great Adventures of Slick Rick? That's a super classic.
I think Def Jam would have definitely took care of him. He was on Def Jam, right?
He was on Def
Jam. He would have been right there because that first album was classic.
Because by the time he really came out and was able to really lock in and do a real legit album, it was like the end of the 90s.
Yeah.
That's almost a decade.
Yeah. A little too late.
And that album was all right, but it was different. We didn't get the follow up.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear what the proper follow up, because the stuff they was putting out, it was like rush stuff. They was just trying to put some music of Slick Rick out. It wasn't.
I think Slick Rick would have been a little bit more vanishable than Snoop Dogg, because Snoop Dogg came with an instant heater.
Yeah.
Not taking nothing away from Slick Rick, because Slick Rick, he's
Slick Rick was a
artist
big
storyteller.
deal.
You know what I'm saying? But
Well, I think because of the phenomenon that Snoop was at the time, like Snoop was like a super duper, and just look at Snoop today. So imagine if that was taken away. That's a good one, Sean. That was a good one, Sean.
That's crazy.
That was a good. That would have been. It would have been bad for hip hop.
Yeah.
But it would have definitely, even if he didn't do the whole, even if he was gone for 10 years, that would have
That would
been
have
a
been
lot.
hurt. Yeah.
But what do you think? Now that you're talking about jail time and all that, like what would happen? You would think if Shine didn't go to jail for them 10 years?
Maybe Bad Boy would still be popular. Well, I don't think.
I don't know if I can
Oh,
say
yeah,
that one.
Shine.
I
Miss Shine. Couple more albums with 3 or 4 tracks on them. Know what I'm saying?
I'm not going.
I think he'd have been heavy featureable though. I think he'd have had heavy features because he came with like 2 impactful singles.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Shine's album was good, but I'm not going to act like I was the greatest Shine rapper and the whole Biggie voice thing.
everybody
Still
say he sound
kind of
like Biggie, yeah.
But I think he would have had more success for sure.
Right.
I'm not going to say he would have dropped game changing music.
But Shine would have fell right up under that umbrella of Mace not leaving and all that. So they all would have been there. So it probably would have been a little bit more pressure on him to make better albums.
He would have had more success, but he definitely at that point he was one of the people that was carrying Bad Boy.
Yeah.
So he would have had pressure. I think he would have had.
After Mason them left though.
Yeah. I think he would have had more success. And I don't think Shine would have dropped groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
yo man,
Stop what you doing,
this
listen
one of
to
my
this.
top albums of all time. I think he'd have dropped some good things. I definitely think, like Freak said, he would have had singles that were good and probably get into some other stuff. But hey man, sometimes stuff happens for a reason, and I like the space that he in right now, man.
I do too. I got one more what if before we get off of
It ain't
hip-hop.
music. It ain't music.
I got one more what if before we get off music. What if Sauce Money and Jay-Z never split?
Well, that's interesting because Sauce Money elected not to sign to Rockefeller.
Yeah.
So that was his decision, and then that still didn't lead to anything being bad. But then at some point, a fella came along named Beanie Siegel, and when Beanie Siegel came along, I'm just thinking about this from an executive business standpoint. All right, you my man, but Beans come along, he's on fire. He signed to me. Why wouldn't I give my all to my artist at that point over you? Because you I gave you first dibs, and I'm okay with that as a man. I'm okay with that decision. But you made that decision, so don't get mad because I don't want to give all my energy to you at this point. I'm just saying, playing both sides.
I agree,
and I like Sauce Money.
I love Sauce Money as well, and I agree with you, Carl, because I think he felt as though he was more of Jay Equal.
I agree with you.
And didn't want to take that, you know what I'm saying? Oh, well, I'm signing your label. Nah, man, you my crew.
Yeah.
We crew. You know what I'm saying? So you signing to my label works. So everything you writing for everybody, ghostwriting, all that, it brings more to the label. You know what I'm saying? Because you my mans. I think he would have been damn near, he'd have been in that ranking of them right now and still them right now. I think it would have been much better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he looked at him as his equal. And that same scenario also happened with Jaz-O. He tried to offer Jaz-O a contract. Jaz-O said no. And you know, but Jaz-O was the big homie, but maybe Jay was looking at it like, I want to take care of my big homie though.
And everybody, you know, they had that big head and not looking at the further picture, which he was always looking at. It's like, yo, it's not like I'm trying to sing you. I'm trying to do the best I can because this is what I got.
Let's be a partner.
And I need you. You know what I'm saying? Things are going to get better.
Well, speaking of Rockefeller, what if Rockefeller never broke up? What if Jay and Dane never broke up? How do you think that would have played out?
I think it would have probably been
just another couple more years of running.
Yeah, I think it would have probably been some other shit to break them up from the way Dane was going. Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Plus you had Cam in there.
Yeah, man. It was a whole lot. I just think that if that thing would have worked, it could have been so much bigger.
Well, I think you know who would have benefited from they to stay together. Say they stayed together 5 more years. I think the state property guys would have benefited the Young Chris's solo project, the PD Cracks.
I can't believe Young Chris still never had a solo album.
I think those guys would have benefited from the Rockefeller not breaking up, because I think it kind of right when they were supposed to get their push, if they could have got the full Rockefeller push, because at the time when Jay split it up, Jay wasn't focused on just Rockefeller. He was doing too much at that point. He was doing
there was a lot going on. They missed.
Yeah.
What if Freeway would have dropped before Get Rich or Die Trying? Freeway was on fire at one point. Then I Get Rich or Die Trying. Don't forget that they dropped around the same time.
Freeway was on fire, but that 50, like Jay told him, that 50 was a different animal.
That's why I said, what if he had dropped before that?
Storm is coming.
I think Free was hot. They was hot.
Yeah.
The whole state property was hot, man.
Yeah.
They were hot. Like, their music was dope. They were the vibe. They gave Jay his motivate.
They gave him life.
They gave him life. They were inspiring him to rap. They was inspiring him to rap. And I think, man, if Beans didn't go to jail, that little thing, like all of that, man, all of that hurt state property, because I think they were dope. They were doper than we really got a chance to show. And that Rockefeller breakup just kind of added to them really not being able to really show what they got. They got though.
Yo, so how do you think Kanye would be if his mom didn't die?
Ooh.
How do you think he would turn out as of now?
I like that, Sean. That's a good one, Sean. I like that. I definitely would have think his mom would be the only person that could really talk to him and really check him. And he would really listen, because, you know, Kanye always had a big ego.
Yeah.
But his mom's was that kind of person that could really bring him back down.
Watching that documentary on Netflix was like, yo, she had him in line. Like, yo, what are you doing? You can't be doing
think
this.
Whenever he got too high, I think a conversation with mom will bring him back down again. And he has nobody that he gives that respect to now.
He ain't listening to nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So, man, I think if a lot of the stuff that Kanye kind of got in trouble with in the media and just with relationships with people, I think his mom would have deaded a lot of that.
Yeah.
Or it wouldn't have went as far because his mom had that voice, man. She had that motherly voice.
That's what I think too.
That's a good one, though. That's a real good one.
Not bad at all.
I definitely think his mom. I don't think Kanye would. I don't think we would be saying Kanye tripping as much.
Yeah.
I think we'd be like, yeah, Kanye doing a little much, but then he fell back or he might apologize or something. That's all coming from his mom's energy, man. So that's a good one, man. That's a good one. All right, I got an interesting one, freaks. I'm sure you're gonna love this. Your guy right here. What if Eminem was black?
Oh, come on.
What if Eminem was black? Think about that. What if Eminem was black?
I don't know. I can't even imagine it, Carl. I can't even what if that one, man.
What if Eminem was black, man?
He probably wouldn't have been signed.
Wow.
Probably wouldn't have been signed.
He wouldn't even be signed.
Probably not, man.
So you
Nobody
think
trying
Dr.
to hear
Dre would've
that
passed
like
on him?
that. Huh?
So you think Dr. Dre just would have passed on him?
Yeah, I think him being white and the things he was saying just made him a must.
Wow.
I'm just, that's just,
All right, hey, man, I respect the honesty.
I can kind of see that. I mean, Eminem is a dope MC, but I feel like
he wouldn't be as big.
he wouldn't be as big for sure.
Oh,
that's
for sure.
he would definitely cater to like that nerd backpack rap.
Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna say he wouldn't be signed. He just wouldn't be as big. He wouldn't be on Aftermath.
Well, I would say if he was signed under the right circumstances, say Dre did still sign him under the right circumstances, I think at his best he could have had a Redman-ish type career. At his best, that's at his height. But to be honest, Dr. Dre had plenty of artists that over the years, we always talk about the artists that did well, but Dr. Dre had plenty of artists over the years that didn't come out, like that was on his label that I thought was dope. He had a Status Quo. He had Bishop Lamont. He had
Joel Ortiz.
Joel Ortiz was on there. He had this
that.
dude named John Connor that was dope. He actually had Rakim.
Yeah.
Raekwon never came out on Aftermath.
Yeah.
Like he had dope artists, man. He had this dude named Bishop Lamont, Hitman. He had all kind of artists that never came out.
Yeah.
Eve was on there twice and she didn't come out on his album. So he could have easily been one of them guys too that was signed to Aftermath and never came out. And then you remember, it used to be a rapper named Freaks. You probably won't remember him, but Sean, you may remember. It was a rapper named Charles Hamilton that came out in the 2000s.
Yeah.
His whole MO was like, he was signed to Interscope too.
Yeah.
His whole MO was like a black version of Eminem, pretty much. And he never came out. He was signed, but he never came out. He was like super different, but talk about weird stuff. And he never dropped the album like Charles Hamilton. So I could see that, or I could see maybe if he didn't meet Dre, best case scenario, maybe he's like a Cannabis.
Yeah.
If he didn't meet Dre.
That's what I'm saying, like that.
Some guy that you thought was like nice, but he really didn't like.
But the albums didn't stick.
The albums wasn't really dope. He was like, oh, he can rap though. Maybe like that kind of guy. But either way, I agree with all of y'all. I think we can agree if he actually said this. If he was black, he wouldn't have been selling as many millions as he would. He said he said in one of his rhymes, if I was black, I wouldn't have sold half.
Yeah.
So at least he knows that.
There's a black guy that raps now, Hopkins.
Yeah.
He's like the black Eminem. No disrespect.
But he's a battle rapper, though.
Yeah, I'm saying like his
make...
songs and stuff is just like Eminem-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like
Eminem-ish.
Well, I'm gonna go off to the pop realm a little bit.
I got one more.
Oh, what you got, man?
What if Anthony killed Ducky and Top Dog was serving life, while Kendrick grew up without a father and died in the gunfight?
Come on, Sean.
Come on, man.
You know where that's from?
It's from the song with Ninth Wonder on what Kendrick album was that?
Damn,
the Damn album, man. So that was a crazy what if though.
That was crazy.
If his dad and Top Dog didn't meet like that, it never may have been a Kendrick Lamar.
No TDE.
That was dope. And that's an interesting way how they all. That was crazy. I do remember that. That was funny though. So, but I got to pop one though. What if Aaliyah never died in a plane crash?
Yeah, that was like right before 9/11. Actually,
Yeah,
that was a sad day. That's crazy.
that was big.
I feel like her and Timberland would have kept making albums.
Absolutely.
Her, Timberland, Missy, Genuine.
Genuine.
I think she'd be big. She'd be
Yeah.
big like that Rihanna big.
She was acting
man.
too. She was.
I
doing
think her and
acting
Dame
thing.
Dash probably would still been together if they together.
Yeah,
If they was
sure.
together.
I think Aaliyah would have been, if I was to compare her with anybody on their rate, like the way they excelled.
Like
I
a
think
Beyonce.
Nah.
I'd say Rihanna.
Nah, and no disrespect.
Yeah.
I think she would have been like Usher, like
Female Usher.
Usher, because they were right there together at the
Yeah.
time. And I think she'd have had more hits. She already had hits and classics.
Right.
I think she'd have had even more hits with Timberland. She was acting. She was going to play in The Matrix. So she was musically, she'd have still had hits. She'd have had great movies. At least if she wasn't a star, she'd have been a supporting actor. So she was going to be big.
Yeah.
Like Aaliyah was big already. And I think she'd have been right up there with Usher, like well respected in the game, like right up there. I'm not going to say Beyonce-ish, but Usher-ish, which is really good. So that's not bad at all. That's a pop superstar. For real. What else you got?
That's all I got for that. For hip hop, for music.
Yeah.
Music. Oh, I got one. Recently, we just heard that Michael Jackson said he was trying to buy Universal Marvel Comics.
Yeah, that'd have been crazy.
Imagine if Mike was alive and he did that.
Yeah.
that would be
So
insane.
you know that. Also with Bill Cosby. With
That dude
Bill
would have
Cosby
been
with
a super
Cosby.
billionaire.
Yeah.
Mike pretty much laid the whole foundation of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like the whole Universal theme park
Movies,
thing they had.
yeah,
there.
yeah.
He
Stores.
pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
And Disney got it and did it.
That's a great idea, Mike.
They wouldn't let Mike get it, and then they did exactly what Mike said. Yo, Mike was different. Mike was
Yeah,
ahead of the game,
that's
man.
crazy.
Imagine if Mike would have had Universal, Marvel, and Sony, the Sony catalog. You know how powerful.
He'd have been Mark.
Well, he was Mark. He was Mark.
He'd have been really Mark.
They said soon after that the allegations popped up, man. So
Where the kids at?
I'm just saying, man. Mike was on some other stuff, man.
But I don't think Mike could have. I'm not sure if he would have made like the movies and films how they are today. Like you got to be like really into it to get the right directors.
Well,
That's the money to hire him.
But see, I think that's the thing about Mike. I think Mike wouldn't have touched it like that.
Oh, they just owned it.
Mike would have just owned it and let the people do what they supposed to do. Like I don't think Mike was gonna be doing cameos and none of that. Like
Right.
with his socks
Yeah.
and glove. I think Mike was going like, "Yo, who does this the best? All right,
get this
go
money."
do what you do.
Yeah.
Like I'm sit back."
I agree.
And I don't think Mike was going to be all in the videos and all.
all in the videos, all on the records.
I got one more hypothetical race switch. What if Donald Trump was black?
Oh, he wouldn't make it past the primaries. He wouldn't get nowhere. Man, he'd be in jail right now.
Donald Trump would have been in jail so early. His first scam, he'd have been in jail. They gave him a 30 piece.
Exactly.
From the rip. Would you believe?
30 piece.
Would you believe Trump tried this? What Negro has ever got away with this?
All them failed businesses he had.
All the failed businesses. Yo, he'd have
the
been.
fake college.
Oh, the
he
women
had.
allegations would have took him through the
He'd
roof.
have been done.
Yeah, it'd have been done. You know how that
It'd
go.
have been done for real.
What if social media was around in the 90s? What if there was like media takeout, what's it called? Baller alert. Like, what if this was around in the 90s?
That's what I'm saying, Carl. That's other like, can you imagine certain rappers with social media platforms from the 90s?
People,
all that?
people will be a
Sales?
lot bigger than what they
Can you
are.
imagine sales?
Well, the sales
along with, you know what I'm saying? Because the sales was already natural. So can you imagine social media promotion with themselves?
Well, imagine some of these classic stories that we hear. If it was actual documentation to like
photos
of
the
these
people in the
stories,
studio,
photos or videos,
phone always out, man. That
people
shit would've
going
been
live.
crazy.
Yeah.
that would have been so many classic moments of that. That's the good side, though. But the bad side is that imagine media takeouters or the baller alert or like imagine the Shade Room. Imagine Dr. Dre and all his joints hitting joints.
Yeah.
And all these outlets start covering this. It would not be a
Hell
good
no.
cancel culture. Imagine
For real.
imagine Biggie Love Triangle on the Shade Room. Even he got a little some stuff about some his hands or whatever, but the whole Faith and Little Kim,
Yeah.
imagine all that playing out in the public eye. That
Everybody
would
watching.
That'd have been crazy.
and it would actually hurt them too,
Yeah,
man. They
yeah.
wouldn't have been a lot of that stuff wouldn't have been going down. Like, can you
Can you imagine ODB going live on Instagram? just sitting at
ODB
the
on
bar?
ODB on Instagram would have been crazy, right?
saying.
ODB on Instagram, you know, he would have got on live and
His
said
reels and
anything.
shit would have been
Hilarious.
man.
He would have been super popular
Oh, man.
on like social media.
I agree.
Yeah, that'd be
ODB
insane.
would be crazy on social media.
ODB was really like he was funny, man. He was
Yeah.
naturally funny, and then what he brought to the table, man, and he was something like a musical genius, man, and knowing how to bring his characteristics,
Yeah.
man, into light, man, to make the song dope.
Then on top of that, he could switch it and start talking about the government doing
Yeah,
this and
yeah,
y'all need to wake
yeah.
up and
Yo, ODB would have been big.
Yeah.
ODB would have been very popular. He'd
I
have had
agree.
millions of followers,
Yeah.
views, and he would have embraced it all together.
Oh, of course,
But the
yeah.
only thing about him is you couldn't control him at that point. He would have
Nah,
got on there and said whatever. Like he would have really like said some off the wall stuff. But I'm gonna switch it to sports though, man. Imagine if what if Mike Tyson never got if he had the right people around him and he never went to jail.
so he lost before. No, he lost.
Lost to Buster
Yeah,
Douglas.
then he went to jail.
He went to, but he partied the whole,
Yeah.
the whole thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take nothing away from Buster Douglas. He
So,
did,
like,
what,
even
he
then,
did
he
what he
still
was
did-
supposed to
yeah.
do. But Mike wasn't taking that serious.
Nah,
he
not
wasn't.
at all.
He had nobody. Honestly, after Customato died,
Yeah, it was
he
kind of
pretty
like
much did whatever he wanted.
Yeah,
So if Mike had the right, like, I don't think people really understand how great Mike was.
Yeah.
I'm never going to act like I'm the most diehard boxing fan, but Mike's moment was something special, man. Like, that was
Mike was that guy.
if that run, if Mike somebody could have kept Mike disciplined and that run would have lasted longer, he never went to jail. Mike would really, I don't think people know Mike now is like the new generation almost know Mike now as like almost like a comedian or something.
yeah.
They don't realize how
Smoker.
great let's do the smoke weed and talk,
Yeah.
you know. I don't think they realize how great of a boxer. This dude was like no other. Like nobody never seen nothing like Mike. Dudes was paying, I don't know how much pay-per-view cost back then.
Probably like $50.
But he was knocking people out in like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Nobody see nothing like this. Like packing that kind of powerful punch.
Yeah.
Like Mike was
Yeah.
still.
So Mike used to come in.
Mike had dudes shook before the fight even started. He was looking you in the eye. They scared to death. Man.
Heavyweights at that. Not
Mike
like
was
no
different,
middle
Mike
man.
was
weight.
knocking
Yeah.
motherfuckers out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mike is a special. Mike is the special, man.
He can actually box too. Like he ain't just a one hitter. Like he can actually, know how to sidestep to get hit you on the side. Like the science behind boxing.
Mike was a student of the game, and I
Yeah.
think if he had the right people around him, I think his run would have lasted a lot longer, and I think people would really be talking more. Because I almost feel like stuff with Mike get tainted from the ear and stuff like that. I think people would be acknowledging Mike for more of his boxing than the outside stuff, man. because Mike was special, man.
The outside overweighted it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think his boxing ability would be more appreciative, and I think he would be really talked about as an all-time great. He don't really get talked about as an all-time great.
I think he does. I mean,
to us,
to us,
but not like overall. I think like when sports coverage, Mike. They cover more of the outside stuff, the bad stuff. They don't cover the greatness of what he really was in his prime.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that would have lasted a little longer, and then he didn't have the rape thing to kind of put a taint on there, the ear thing, you know, the spectacles sometimes. I think he would have been respected more of as a boxer. Man.
Yeah. I mean, but still though, like Mike's story is like all about redemption. You know what I mean? He was down, came back up.
Yeah, but
down.
even how he flipped,
down.
even how he flipped his money to today. I
Yeah.
mean, Mike's always a guy I'm rooting for, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm always rooting for Mike, man, for sure. But Mike was a special talent. Sometimes I just want people to really understand and appreciate what he did as a boxer a little more, because that moment.
They put Mike on the meds, man, and he wasn't right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And you know he wasn't right. Like them later fights he was having, he was on medication. They ain't want him to bite nobody.
I ain't want to bite nobody either.
They ain't know what was gonna happen. You gotta take one of these, Mike, before you go in there, man. Calm you down.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm messing with them
Calm
man.
you down. That's crazy.
Messing with them.
I got one. What if? It might be. I got a feeling this in your notes. What if Michael Jordan never retired?
If Michael Jordan never retired,
They'd have won 8.
I think it's a strong chance they could have won 8 championships, because Scottie Pippen almost led them to one of them. Without Mike, he was
That year
he
Mike
was-
left.
Yeah, he was one game away from going to the finals.
That
Scottie
94
Pippen
season.
So in the Knicks and the Rockets that won, I think Mike could have beat them by himself. I think it's a strong chance that Mike would have won 8.
What Scotty do? Scotty do.
Yeah. I think it's a real strong. I know people that sounds crazy, like 8 straight, but I think it's a real strong chance that they could have won 8 straight. And I think if Mike wouldn't have kept on retiring, because he was first time he retired, then the second time he was still nice when he retired. Remember,
Yeah.
I think if Mike would have played a little longer, Mike would have easily won the scoring championship. Easily. He'd have been on pace to win the scoring championship. And I think at some point the Bulls would have reloaded, retooled. And I think they would. I think I could easily say that Mike would have probably won 10 championships as a whole by the time he retired. Say after Mike retired the second time when he retired after the shot, I think Mike would have. I think there's a strong chance that if Mike played 3 to 5 more years after that, I give Mike 2. If they retooled, I give Mike 2. Man,
It's hard to say. It's hard to say that you would have seen Mike lose in the playoffs or in the championship because he never had.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think 8 straight is a strong chance, and then I think he could have got 2 more. I could easily see Mike with 10, man.
Yeah,
10 chips.
I agree.
Mike,
So I guess that what if would be, what if Jerry Krause was never with the Bulls?
Yeah, 'cause
making
you
those
would've-
decisions
you
like, yo,
would've-
Phil, you're not coming back next
yeah,
year.
because if Phil would have came back, Mike would have came back. That
was basically
straight up.
That was basically it.
You gonna break that up, and then you brought some Tim Floyd dude in that was going like 3 years. Like it don't even
Jerry
make
Krause was.
It don't even make sense.
Yo, like we
He was
just won the
jealous.
championship.
They
don't
said he
even
wanted
make
to be.
sense.
They said he wanted to be a player.
Yeah.
You know, for real. They said that he was jealous of the players. He really wanted to be
He
a
had
player.
little, he
instead
had
of just
little
being
man
an owner.
syndrome. But
Yeah.
like you don't break up.
Fat ass
You beat a champion. You don't you don't give it up, man.
Short,
Like,
stubby ass. nigga.
nah, Mike's already to go. And check out that Jordan 60 episode if you ain't seen that. But man, I think Mike would have easily had 8.
Easy.
And I think I feel like he could have had 10.
Yeah.
Because Mike, like Freak said, Mike was determined to lose. And once Mike hit the mountaintop, it was like nobody knocked him off pretty much. It was him that walked away. So Mike, and then I think if they would have, say after the second repeat, if they'd have lost the next year, that would have been the fuel.
Yeah.
Mike needed motivation. So that would have been the motivation. Oh, y'all beat us? Oh, y'all think I'm done. That's all Mike need. He'd come back and win a couple more at least, man. So yeah, Mike that dude. All right, so we mentioned Mike, so I couldn't help but to think about his what they call Kobe, his
mentality.
No, his
Protege,
his assistant, understudy, whatever.
Junior Mike.
If Junior Mike, if Kobe didn't pass away in the helicopter accident, what do you think Kobe would be into right
Coaching.
Female basketball.
Yeah.
He would be on it.
Coaching. Yeah.
now? I think Gigi would be one of the best female basketball players right now
Yeah,
I think so,
in
too.
college. And I think Kobe would be a super ambassador of the women's
school.
game,
Yeah.
but basketball period. And I think a lot of the young players would be coming to Kobe for like talks,
Yeah.
hints, coaching. I don't think he was going to actually be like an actual like sideline coach. But I
Yeah.
think he'd have been like,
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
yeah, like a guy that they go, I'm going to work out with Kobe in the off
Exactly.
season.
I think he'd have been also been tapping into ownership right about now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And continue to grow that creative side. You know, he did that thing with the basketball, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, film.
yeah.
Won
Yeah,
an
I think.
Oscar.
Yeah, I think he'd have been really knee deep.
Yeah.
and into that. But I think his daughter would have been like another motivation. Like, yo, she got that thing that I got, and I think Gigi would have really been not because her dad, because she just
She just had it.
She just got it.
Yeah.
She's one of them kids that just got it. I think she'd have been one of them kids too, man. What if I got an interesting one? What if all the black elite athletes continue to go to HBCUs?
That'd
Man.
be dope. That'd be dope.
That would
man.
be great for the schools.
That'd be dope.
The money would have been there.
I know we talk about Dion and
You
what
know-
he was doing, but
You know what I think what would have happened?
what's that?
These top like black schools, because you know a lot of black colleges, all of them is not D1.
No, a lot
You know what I'm
of them.
saying?
Most of them aren't.
I think they would have found a way to implement them schools into D1 or implement them schools into the NCAA somehow, as far as like the NCAA, how the big brackets is, because you'd have had no choice because all our talent is going to our schools.
Do you think like the media would have be like, all right,
Oh, hell yeah.
we're not even going to show those games?
Man, they would have been getting airtime. Clark Atlanta, Virginia State. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? All
I
them
think
types
I
schools.
think if the athletes were there, they would have no choice at some point
Yeah.
because we have to cover them. If we want to get ratings, we have to cover these athletes. So it would make the white media come to the black schools. So if they come into the black schools, that means you're gonna have to invest somehow in the black schools.
And you'd have had more. I think you'd have had more white students at black schools as well.
I actually agree with that.
How about this?
I actually agree.
So
with that.
all right, so we got all the top athletes here. All the media is coming to Clark Atlanta now. Does the tuition go up?
Yes. It's the American way.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
only right.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
It's
I
only
mean, tuition's gonna go up regardless.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if we bringing all this spotlight, we're bringing new expenses too.
Yeah.
With more expenses, more tuition's going up.
Got to fix that gym.
But yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I do agree. I think that would cause more white people to want to
yeah.
go to HBCUs for the experience.
Yeah. Let's get cultured.
But I do think it would have been great because imagine like, whoever, Kyrie Irving graduated from Morehouse, or you know what I'm saying, or LeBron went to
Howard.
to Howard,
Just
or
did
like
1 year and
yeah.
bounced. Yeah.
Imagine what that does to Howard's name
Yeah.
now. You got LeBron or Kobe or whoever like went to that school. Like the whole name of these black colleges would be on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like actually, it would be like white people would have to respect it more.
Oh,
Even
hell
if they
yeah.
don't like it, they would like you to go to their schools. You would have to respect these schools even more
Yeah.
in the mainstream. So that would be dope, man.
That'd be real.
That would be real dope. I think that would have, and the crazy thing about it is we're saying that's a what if, but I don't think
can
that I don't
happen.
think that's a far fetched idea. Like that could
It's
really
not.
happen. Like
not.
we just let them tell us mentally that you got to go to our schools to be
Yeah,
successful.
you gotta go to Duke,
You
you
got to
gotta
go
go to
this
Kansas,
pipeline to be successful.
You want to be on TV, you got to go to here. You
Now,
gotta-
for college right now, speaking of college, the big thing is the NIL, name, image, and likeness deals
Yeah.
that they're giving the students, athletes right now. What if NIL deals were around in the 90s?
Oh, Fab Five.
Imagine the Fab Five.
They be eating right
Imagine
now.
the Fab Five with NIL deals. They be getting the bag.
Yeah.
Imagine the Miami Hurricane football teams. Like, and I think some bags is being passed around for sure.
Absolutely.
Regardless. But imagine legal bags getting passed around. You know how much money they be making?
Yeah.
when Uncle Luke and them was rocking out with the team. Like, you know how much money they be making,
Yeah,
man?
that'd be crazy.
Imagine the UNLV running Rebels.
Larry
Like,
Johnson and them.
yeah, man. Imagine if Larry Johnson and all them was getting, like, money, legit legal money. You know who I think would be the godfather of that?
Who's that?
John Calipari. John Calipari would be the, he would be the godfather of the NIL deal. Come to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Come here. I got the bag waiting for you right here.
You like Nike? Here you go.
Nah, man, it's a shame now because when I see NIL deals, I'm like, man, the Fab Five should have. They had their whole jersey sets in the windows.
Yeah.
They wasn't getting paid a dime, man. The whole Black Sock era, they ushered that in, man. The baggy shorts.
Yeah.
They should have got paid off of that, man.
Yep.
They probably would have been getting $1 million NIL deals, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Whew. What if, man? What if? Any other what ifs, man? It could be what ifs for days, man. It could be what ifs for days.
Damn.
But I think we got some good ones.
We got some good
man.
ones
We
up
got
there.
some good ones.
Gotta do
man.
a part 2.
We might have to do a part 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let
I
us
think
know.
it's a part. Yeah.
Let us know any what ifs.
Ideas. Send them through.
And we will do a part 2. Matter of fact, let's do it like that. Y'all tell us what ifs that you want to hear us talk about, and we'll do a part 2 talking about those what ifs. Too.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think we covered a nice amount of stuff. It could be, and it could be rap, it could be music, period, it could be sports of the world. Give us some scenarios, and we'll definitely bring to the table a part 2, man, for y'all.
We
But
definitely touched a lot.
We definitely
Music.
did. Last what if, man, before we get out.
what's that?
What if Concert Crew never had rearrangements with the casting?
Wow. I think it. I mean, I still think it would have been. I don't know, man. I don't know, because the Concert Crew really started off with us having these conversations off of the microphone.
Off the microphone,
so It would have been. It would. I mean, and we still kind of now ease back all the time. You know.
Yeah.
Once you Concert Crew,
Black's
you-
been
you-
back.
you
But
a
it
Concert Crew for life.
ain't no Concert Crew. It ain't like no. Yeah, I agree, Sean. Once you Concert Crew, you Concert Crew
Yeah.
for life. So I always look at them as Concert Crew, man.
Yeah.
You know. So, but then if that's the what if, then we don't got Taz.
Yeah.
So
Right about that.
so I almost like. Maybe we could have did that and added Taz somehow.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't want to. Because I love everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody that was on this podcast is my brother.
But it's a what if.
Yeah, it's a what if.
It's definitely a what if.
It would have still been fun. It would have
Yeah.
still been
Heavy
laughing.
chemistry.
It would have been. I mean,
It's still good though. You know what I'm saying?
I would. You know what? I'll say, what if we had that? Because we were so raw back then. It was
it was the
we
raws.
We ain't had stuff together.
We had motherfuckers tapping in due to the raw shit that was being said.
Our equipment was looking all crazy. Like, you know, it was up and the volumes was up and down. That was a whole different time. So I would say, what if we had that during with like a current setup where it's a little better,
little heavier now.
And we have, to be honest, we previewed that several times. You've seen a bunch of different guys back here, so we kind of gave previews for that. But if we had that from the beginning with the setup that we knew now, that would have been dope for sure, man.
How about this? Like, what if Swiss came through? What if Keisha Cole linked that up?
Those some what ifs
You know
that
what I'm
people
saying?
ain't even know about, Sean.
What if Nipsey?
Yeah.
Nipsey was following us,
That'd have
y'all.
been dope.
Nipsey was
Fred
following
the
us.
Godson.
Yeah, Fred the
Fred the
Godson. Yeah.
A lot of people behind the scenes was showing us a lot of love that y'all don't even know about, man. Like, a lot of love.
Yeah.
Like, y'all don't really even know, man. And like, but those are some great. And some of this stuff almost happened. Some of this stuff still going to happen. Some of this stuff, it just was different circumstances. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of what ifs. It's times that we was literally on the road to New York to do interviews and just didn't
Motherfucker just
happen.
fell off.
Just fell off the face of
Sitting
the
on
earth.
What if he would have answered the phone?
What if certain people would have answered the phone, man? Like,
It ain't no love lost.
no. It's
It's the game.
It's been a couple, like, just little moments of
Yeah.
almost stuff happening, like you know.
Yeah.
But it's part of the game, though. It is not saying it's not going to happen. It just didn't happen yet. So we ain't even going to say what.
But I think that we got a lot of heavy what ifs throughout the pandemic area. Because I say my what if would be, what if we had them pandemic interviews in person? Because we had some good interviews during the pandemic.
And that would have been dope.
And that'd
A lot
have
of
been
them
dope
would've been dope. A
in
lot of them
person.
would've been
Like
dope.
Shabazz the OG.
Yeah, that'd have been real dope.
We
We had
who else
Shay
we
Nor
had?
early.
Shay Nor early.
Heather Victoria. was
Heather
dope.
Victoria.
Yeah, 38 Spec.
38 Special.
38
Yeah,
Spec.
we had some heavy drinks, man.
Daz Capone.
Daz and
Capone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
we had some heavy drinks, man.
Yeah, we had some dope joints, man. We had
Ricky
some
Hyde.
Ricky Hyde.
Rick Hyde was on there.
And he.
Mean.
And he.
And he,
Yeah, we had some dope joints. Damn, we had some dope joints, man.
Yeah.
We had some
Real
dope
rap.
joints, man. Daz and Capone. Wow. Yeah. We had some major joints, man. But, you know, what if we're going to try to make more actually stuff happening, but what ifs, man, it's always good to go down memory lane. Like I said, let us know, man. Let us know, man. What if Taz was still here?
Yeah.
What if Taz
I ain't want to say that, but you
What
know.
if Taz is sitting right next to us right now?
He is.
He is, man, in spirit, but
He is.
it would be good in the physical too, man. But you know, that would be wow. Like, how would he feel about some of this current stuff that we doing, man?
I agree.
Like, what if Taz is pissed off at me about something? Like I know he would. Like, Carl, this is some bullshit. Ah, man, I miss the moments, man. But you know, those is what ifs, man. Those are kind of that's life, man. Life. A lot of these situations and stuff we talked about is just how life throws you different twists and turns, man. Whether it's our personal lives, whether it's these artists, you got tragedies like we had with Taz, but then you got tragedies like Nipsey and Biggie and Tupac and Aaliyah. Like, these are tragedies, Eazy-E. Like, so this is the same stuff we dealing with in real life, man. But you got to make the best out of what you got, man. But it's always good sometimes just think about, damn, what if things were different, man? What if things turned out a little different? So that's all we were going with this,
having fun with it.
episode, man. Having fun, giving you some thoughts.
Can't control everything.
Nah, you can't. But let us know what you think, man. We Concert Crew Podcast. Make sure y'all go follow us at Concert Crew Podcast. Make sure y'all go download, subscribe.
Yep.
We on all digital platforms. Yo, make sure y'all go to our YouTube page, man. Subscribe.
Push that button, man.
Yo.
Yeah.
We appreciate all y'all, man. All the love, man, on our YouTube page. Please continue to go support. Run those videos up, man. Like we always say, man, long live Taz,
Yes.
brother.
Absolutely.
We love you, brother. We love you. We're going to continue to march forth, man. Woo, man. Well, I tell you one thing, it's not a what if. Concert Crew is still here. We ain't going nowhere. That's not a what if at all. That's
not
a
a what if.
fact. That's a fact, man. Concert Crew Podcast. Yo, Pito, hit us with the fader. We
Yep.
out.
Yeah.